Good evening. Can I check that you can hear me at the back? Wonderful. So, welcome. Welcome to the University of Westminster if you haven't been to us before. And welcome to What It Takes to Succeed in Business with Tara and Tej Lalvani. We're absolutely delighted to welcome you here this evening, and we're looking forward to a stimulating session where all of our guests, and particularly our students, will be fascinated about your story and to learn something about starting up businesses, managing a successful business, the process behind doing that. So during the course of the first session, do think about the questions that you would like to ask. This is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to meet two individuals that have made it quite spectacularly, and you don't get this chance, you won't get this chance very often. Tara and Tej are in high demand. We're delighted to be able to benefit tonight from their experience. So this is the first event of 2023 for the What It Takes event series. The series is run by the Alumni Relations team, and it's supported also by the Westminster Enterprise Network, or the WE Network, the network that works with the community of budding entrepreneurs, all of whom are aspiring to, in future years, sit where you are on the stage to talk about their successes. So I'm Malcolm Kirkup, Professor Malcolm Kirkup. I have 3 jobs here at the university. I'm a Professor of Marketing, I am Head of Westminster Business School, and I'm also Pro-Vice-Chancellor for People and Culture. And I am extremely proud to be doing this job, particularly because of what Westminster is, what it stands for, and the opportunities that Westminster creates for young people. If you're new to Westminster, the institution was founded back in 1838. One of the first founders of the university was Quintin Hogg. Quintin Hogg was famed for his contribution to society by particularly taking young homeless men off the streets of London and giving them a vocational education to improve their prospects. And right through the university's history, we have continued to do that, not just for young men, for young women as well, but we have a particular place in the university system in the UK where we are proud of our very wide access participation agenda. We are very proud of the huge diversity of students that we attract and serve. 166 countries currently represented in our student body, and 54% of our students, the first generation in their family to go to university. A similar proportion of our BAME students. We have a very rich, very diverse community, and we are delighted to be able to, in some way, contribute to their development and to help them on the journey in life. And hopefully, in the future, that you'll all, as you progress, graduate and progress and achieve success, that you'll be able to look back on your time at Westminster and see that in some way we contributed to that journey. Tej himself is an alumnus of the Business Management Programme in the Business School, so this is some real evidence it can be done, and it can be done very successfully. So, it's very busy, we're crowded. In fact, we were massively oversubscribed for this event. So, there might be still a little movement as we go through the evening as others arrive, but the event is being recorded, so make sure you have the right side of your face facing the camera. If you are vain, and a recording will be available on the Alumni YouTube channel in the near future. So there's two parts to the session. The first is a series of questions that I will pose to Tej and Tara about their journeys to success in business, and the lessons that they have learnt along the way. That will be for roughly half an hour, and then we will open the floor to questions and answers. And do think ahead of that opportunity what sorts of questions you would like. They may not be able to or wish to answer every question, but think about what would be useful. If you're a current student of business, what insights would be useful to help you with your studies, or what insights would be useful for starting your own business. I know we have quite a few budding entrepreneurs here tonight. Two have made themselves very well known already in the early introductions. So here's your opportunity. And then after the Q&A, we'll have the opportunity to grab something to eat and have a networking session, if there's any food left. I notice, as with all student events, you're supposed to wait for your food until the time on the agenda that says food. And I notice you were straight in there. Okay, so to our wonderful speakers. So first, we have Dr. Tara Lalvani. Tara is a dental surgeon turned beauty entrepreneur, founder and CEO of Beautifect, a beauty tool and device company that has revolutionized the beauty industry. The award-winning Beautifect box allows people to get ready in half the time and half the effort and to look twice as good, except for people like me who you could spend hours and still achieve nothing. Fast-paced to become the global go-to brand for best-in-class beauty tools. With a focus on innovation, quality and performance, Beautifect is pushing the boundaries to establishing themselves as a trusted and reliable source for creating beauty tools that actually deliver. With a loyal fan base made up of not just customers, but beauty insiders, professionals and celebrities worldwide. A constant bestseller since its launch only 2 years ago, with major retailers including Harrods, Fenwick and Sephora stocking their products, and more internationally. So that's Tara. And we're also joined by Professor Tej Lalvani. Tej is an alumnus, as I mentioned, with a BA in Business Studies from Westminster that he secured in 1996. And later in 2021, he was made an honorary Doctor of Letters. And so Tej is very well known to us. Tej is Chief Executive Officer of Vice-Biotics and a dragon for 5 years on BBC's hit TV show Dragon's Den. I'm sure that's where you will recognise him from. His shrewd business expertise over the last 20 years has led to the phenomenal growth of Vice-Biotics into the UK's largest vitamin company, while driving worldwide expansion to over 100 countries. With a flair for product design and branding, Tej has created highly successful partnerships with Disney and Peppa Pig, while bringing in famous brand ambassadors such as Nicole Scherzinger, Heidi Klum and David Gandy. He has won several entrepreneur awards, including his doctorate and professorship at the university, and he is an avid investor in businesses and startups. He's also been voted as one of the UK's top 10 LinkedIn influencers and is ranked one of the most influential Asians in Britain. Wow, what an opportunity. We are delighted to have you with us. Welcome to the university. Welcome from everyone here. And let's get underway. Okay. So I will ask the first set of questions, and then I'll share them.
First, thank you for having me here today in this iconic venue where apparently Jimi Hendrix and Pink Floyd and David Bowie. I wish I brought my guitar. I would have played Wonderwall up there. In fact, I did perform at our wedding serenading Tara.
Yeah, you can sing. You can sing.
Not with this voice right now, though. But yes, pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Okay. So, first question to Tej. What advice would you give to a student or a graduate wanting to succeed in business?
I think it's fine. Thanks. So, if you're wanting to succeed, you have to have a purpose of what you want to do, really. An idea and a strong belief of trying to achieve something. And whether it's a product, a service, an idea, something to change or improve something. And to be an entrepreneur, it takes a certain type of mindset, of course. You're going to have a lot of challenges throughout your career, trying to get the concept right, the product made, getting it distributed, getting it into consumers' hands, doing the marketing. So really you'll need a strong, persevering type personality, and you have the freedom of working for yourself and doing something that you create and make a difference in people's lives. So I think going into that, knowing that, and I gave my wife a bit of advice before she set up her business to say that you're going to be constantly firefighting and problem solving. And that's part of it, because you have to be creative, use all the resources you have, tap into your whole network to be able to create the business.
Thank you. Well, hang on to this. Okay. Tara, how do you reach the right decision when faced with doubts?
So I think every day, in the day of an entrepreneur, you have hundreds of decisions to make, and you can't kind of sit around dwelling on each decision. You have to make decisions fast, and you've got to take action. And I've always been quite decisive, generally as a person, but there is sometimes you have a dilemma and you don't know which direction to go. So the trick I do is I just pick either way. So if it's going to be left or right, I think, okay, let me try going right. And then you go and you see how you feel. As soon as you make that decision, you tell your brain that's what you're doing. And if you feel happy about it, then you made the right choice and you carry on. If you feel uneasy, then actually all you do is just change your mind and go left. But if you're sitting down and you're at that junction and you don't decide either way, you don't know how you feel, and actually you don't get anywhere. So it's all about taking action and taking that first step and seeing, like I said, how it sits with you.
Thank you. Tej, how do you know if a business idea is a good one?
Really up to the customers. So if you have a product, you want to understand whether it makes financial sense. Because if you put enough money at something, it's going to end up selling. But really, is the business model right? And so, do consumers, are you creating something of value to a customer? And when you find out your business model actually works, people want it. Firstly, understanding who your customer is, who really your customer is, and what value you're providing. And you figure out that you have got a business. It shouldn't be an uphill struggle. It should be trying to find the right gap, the right market, and the right customer, and how to get to them. And once you do that, you double down and you keep increasing to prove that business model or that concept that it actually works. But it takes a lot of trial and error. Sometimes the product that you come up with can be totally different to the one that's successful, or the service for that matter. So the idea is not to try and consistently perfect it, and it's about taking action, as Tara said, and launching your product or idea. You will find it's not going to be the same, because you'll need customer feedback to find out whether that really doesn't work, or or you might realize your customer is someone completely different. So I think that experimentation, taking that time, taking action, building on it, is, it's only then you realize how your business is going to be successful, where you've actually hit a spot or a gap in the market that you think you've got something unique. And I always tell people, don't try and do everything for everyone. It's better to be niche and be focused, even if you've got a smaller market. But if you own that market and you're the expert and the leader in that market, that's what you really want. Because otherwise it just makes you an average product if you're trying to cater to everyone. And these days people want the best of one particular thing. So I'd focus on that.
Thank you. If I can ask just a follow-up there. So on Dragon's Den, you were presented with a series of budding entrepreneurs coming to pitch their ideas for a very short period of time, 2 to 3 minutes. During that very short period of time, what most influences your judgments? So you have an individual or a pair or a team with an idea presented in a particular way, argued in a particular way, some with evidence, some with facts, some with products, some with a story, some with an emotional story, some with a partial success story. When you see an individual coming to you to present, what's going through your mind when coming to your conclusion about, is this person worth investing in?
Well, it's an interesting question, and you've got that short pitch that the entrepreneur is doing. Of course you can ask questions, but it's like having all these different connections and trying to figure out and get a whole picture of that person, because you're trying to analyze so many different aspects about, is that entrepreneur backable? Are they resourceful? Are they going to stick at it? Is it something they eat, breathe, sleep doing? Is it someone trustworthy that is going to be transparent and open to you? Is it someone that's going to be easy to work with? Because if they're too headstrong and they don't want advice, then they're going to make wrong decisions without listening to you. Have they been sensible with the way they've used their money? Do they actually have a business model that's proven, for instance? Like I talked about, they've got a great idea, but have they proven it to say that there is a customer that wants the product? So there's all these different aspects you look at as an entrepreneur or as an investor to see what the entrepreneur really has got. And of course it's the product as well, ultimately. Are you passionate about what they're doing? Is it something that you can add value to? So there are all these aspects that you're thinking about, and the more questions you ask, the more you know about it. But you do have that limited time to figure out, is it something that you can work with and you can help.
Brilliant, thank you. Tara, how did you feel about trying something new, very new, and are you glad you did?
I'm definitely glad I did. It wasn't something, I didn't set out to start something new. I was extremely busy at the time when I had the idea. I wasn't looking for a business idea, I was simply looking for a product. And what I was looking for didn't exist. So when I couldn't find it, I thought, I need this product. And I realized enough other people needed it as well with a bit of market research, and decided that I have to create it. And I never doubted, never questioned, should I create this? I just knew in my heart that this product had to exist. And what I was looking for was a way to be able to do my makeup where I wasn't stuck in one place, be it a dressing table or a bathroom mirror. I didn't struggle to find the right light. And when I did my market research and I realized how women and some men were doing their makeup every single day or doing their skincare, it just didn't make sense that we're living in a world with so much innovation where everything's on demand, but yet we've accepted we have to get up, leave who we're with, and go and sit or stand in a separate room every day, and then struggle with lighting and still get makeup mishaps every single day. And that's what made me so sure that I had to just create this product. And I never looked back. So I'm so glad I pushed myself out of my comfort zone. That's actually when we grow. If we're not doing something that makes us uncomfortable, and we always stay in that comfort zone, then actually we're not really learning anything new, and we're not really growing. And that's what life is about. It's about growing. If we're not growing, we're dead, right? So that's really why I'm so glad that I did. And it is so rewarding having your own business. like Tej said before, being your own boss, you've got a great team that you can rely on, but ultimately the decisions lie with you, and you've got a vision, and you've just got to go for it. And it's a great journey, so I definitely recommend it to anyone who's thinking about becoming an entrepreneur.
And talking about comfort zone, you're right, 95% of our opportunity lies outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Really got to push boundaries.
Brilliant, thank you. So we have a very large number of students here in business and many studying for entrepreneurship. How can students and graduates best gain the skills and experience that they need to start a business and to succeed in the business?
Well, there's a couple of things that you can do to try and get skills. One, of course, is communication, right? I'm not talking about being a great public speaker or something like that. I mean the art of persuasion. Because if you're a good communicator, you need to be able to convince people to buy your product. You need to be able to sell people on a vision to work for you. And you need to also be able to sell people to invest in your business when you need to as well. So communication is key, and the art of persuasion, to really engage with people and sell them on your idea. So if you can learn that and master that, that's going to be very useful for you when you're setting up your business, because it's literally every day you're persuading people and trying to convince people in the right way, whether you know it or not, and doing deals and negotiating at the same time. But also having a lot of focus and having a singular vision, because there are going to be a lot of people that tell you, oh, the idea is not great, it's not going to work, it's been done before. But you'll know inside whether it's something unique, and you all got rational, logical minds. And really, business is about being logical at the end of the day. And if you think it's a good idea, try it out. And in terms of the skills, definitely involving in negotiating, researching, understanding the competition, who's really out there, who's doing what could be done better, and surrounding yourself now with the right people and the right peers is very important. Getting a mentor, someone that you can look up to, educating yourself. There's so many programs apart from your university degree. You can go online, you can learn about skills that you need for business. Finance as well, learning how to manage your money, being detailed, and writing down every single detail about what your plan is. And of course, setting goals. Because start setting goals yourself. They did a study, I think, in the 50s in Harvard or Yale University, a graduating class. They found out how many people actually had written goals down that carried with them. And I think of 150 people, there were only 3% that actually had written goals down. 20 years later, they went to those people and saw how much money they had. They had more, the same 3% had more than 97% put together, right? Because if you have that goal-setting mindset of what you want to achieve, but not just a big goal like, today when you go home, think of a couple of goals, whether it's 4 goals, some personal, some business, but, be specific. Say, okay, I want to sell this much product in this amount of time, but I need it for this to be able to pay for a mortgage, which is going to help move out of a particular area that I don't want to be in, and set yourself time. But stuff that's achievable. You don't do stuff that you're not going to be able to achieve. You just set yourself up for success always. So your goals have to be sensible. So these are the skills that you can sort of try and master while you're in university, and build up as much knowledge and information as you can. And today online, the amount of information that's there. I go home after I come home from work, and Tara will tell you as well. I sit on YouTube. And I learn, and I look at stuff and look at people that inspire me, whether it's how to deal with people or small courses, and in 10 minutes you can learn stuff. So I suggest keep learning.
Fantastic, thank you. So a question for both of you. What have you learnt from each other?
Well, Tej is an amazing mentor for me to have at home. I'm very lucky. I learned so much from him, but I think one thing that I learnt early on from him was not to procrastinate. That's something I always procrastinate. If something I'm unsure about how to do it, you put it off and you put it at the bottom of the list. So I learnt to actually, just when something needs doing, get on with it, do it there and then. I feel like if you leave it, it festers in your mind, you stress about it, and you might even forget to do it. So the best thing is deal with it straight away, and do things in order of priority. Don't do the things which are easy first and then leave the hard things to the end. Do it in order of what needs to be get done. So that's one thing I learned from Tej.
I learned a lot from my wife. So I think one of the really important things I've learned is not worrying about upsetting people, and say what you think and feel. Because ultimately, in the long run, that's better. It's better to be, it's not about being liked all the time. And for me, that, growing up, I was always, am I going to be liked or likable? But that doesn't really matter. What matters is about being yourself and being open and expressing it and call it out. And so that's something I've learnt, which has been really helpful.
It's true, because if someone doesn't like you for being you, then that's their problem, right? You just be yourself, your true, authentic self. And no, I've definitely seen, like, it sounds funny to say, not Tara really doesn't care about if she's liked or not, but it's true in that you have to be yourself, and you can't tell people what they want to hear. Just tell people what you're thinking, and if they don't like it, then you've been honest. What can you do?
Thank you. Brilliant. So, Tej, we referred to Dragon's Den. This is what you are famous for most people, evaluating those pitches and deciding whether you're going to invest your hard-earned cash. And each of them is presenting their idea that they're convinced about, that they have researched, that they know all about, and they make their pitch to you. From all of those pitches, or from your relationships with the other dragons, what have you learned from Dragon's Den?
It's about pushing boundaries, as Tara said. So you've grown so much as a person, but just overall. And one of the things I've learned, one of the skills I picked up actually is people skills. Because, each year you see about 120 entrepreneurs that come in through the door and pitch. And you've got to really, it's not good to say you're judging people, but you've really got to understand people and understand their psychology and what they're saying, because you're going to be spending time and money invested in that person. So you're really trying to analyze people and understand them and pick up things. Is it what they're saying is right? Is it not true? Can it be backed up? So I think being exposed to all that and making quick decisions as well, because you have to on that moment. And also, initially, when I started Dragon's Den, obviously I'm in the vitamin business and in consumer goods. So I guess what I was apprehensive of was, how can I add value to a business that's not in my space, right? So now having the confidence to be able to invest in any other business, but just understanding the basic principles of what that business is. So, it could be a clothing business, it could be sorry, it wasn't loud enough before. It could be a tech business, but it's just understanding, customers, demand, supply, product, marketing, and just putting it into it. So I think that's definitely something I've learned in Dragon, and helping people and entrepreneurs to succeed, how you can add value in different areas, and then building that network of people. So it's been a very valuable time. I think those 5 years probably is like, 20 years compressed in terms of knowledge and experience you get. And then, I talked about at the doctorate speech, making opportunity and taking opportunity. Those are one of the most important things, because you have to make the opportunity yourself. And how do you do that? You being in university, getting a degree, is making that opportunity for you. And then an opportunity presents itself where it's a job, right? But that job is going to have 20 people going for it. You still have to work for it, so you've got to take that when it's there, right? So for me, with Dragon's Den, with Vitabiotics, I built it up to a successful business, and then I made that opportunity. Then the Dragon's Den opportunity came on board because of that. So I created that opportunity. But when it came, it wasn't like, oh, here, take the seat. No, there were 15 other people who wanted that position. I had to be interviewed, I had a screen test, etc. So I had to take it. And once I took that opportunity, it made other opportunities for me in terms of helping other entrepreneurs. So really life's about making your own opportunities, and then when it's there, don't let it go. Take it with both hands.
Thank you. Brilliant. Is it just a follow-up there? If you, well, on Dragon's Den, when the individuals or the teams are presenting to you towards the end, when you have your opportunity to say yes or no, if you're going for yes, the dragon would say, and I can bring this to your business, or I can contribute this. What typically are you offering?
So yes, it's not about the entrepreneur just selling themselves. It's about the dragons sometimes selling themselves, because if the pitch is so good, the entrepreneur is great, you're competing against 4 other dragons, and you want that deal. So, so ultimately what you need to show is A, that you're passionate about that person's business, because ultimately the entrepreneur wants to know, they want someone who really cares about their business and who really wants to add value and give it that time. Because ultimately you're a minority stake shareholder, the entrepreneur's going to be wondering, how much time is this dragon really going to give me in this business? So you've got to show that you're passionate about this idea and this business, and you've got to communicate how you can add value and where you see the business going to be and what you're going to do to open doors for that business. So, whether it's being able to raise money for them, whether it's being able to distribute them and provide them, retailers in international markets, whether it's being able to help them on the product design side of things. So that's it. You're selling in a way, and then ultimately it's about negotiation. So are you willing to take a lesser stake for the same amount of money? So there's different areas you need to play with.
Brilliant, thank you. Tara, you've built up an amazing global brand in 2 years. And you have, so you're in Harrods, you're selling in the States, something that we might dream of. We may have a good idea, but to get from the good idea to the business reality and selling stuff in America, in Harrods, what are the steps to make that a reality? To go from that problem you discovered at home, putting your makeup on, to being stocked in Harrods and selling like hotcakes in the States? What are the steps?
So when I had the idea, I visualized what now is the Beauty Effect box. And when it didn't exist, like I said, I started out trying to create it. And the first step was actually getting the vision I had in my mind actually on paper. So once I drew it out and thought actually how it should look, funny enough, the final product actually looks pretty much almost identical. A few tweaks, but when I saw it recently, the picture, and you remember the picture I drew, it actually turned out like that, which is surprising because you do have to pivot along the way. But and then once I had that, I've not come from being in an engineering background. So what I was trying to create was the best lighting technology in the industry. Now, not being an engineer, there's no way I could physically do that myself. So then I had to find a team of people I could work with to help me with that side of things. So we worked together with the design, with the engineering, and then when I was happy finally with the final working prototype, I set out about getting a manufacturer. So I had to travel quite a bit, really find the perfect manufacturer I wanted to work with long term, who could deliver what I wanted with the quality, the performance of the product. And during that phase, obviously, looking into trademarks, patents as well, and then design packaging. I designed my logo myself, the name of the brand. Each and every step takes a lot of time, which I had no idea, to be honest, when I was entering into this, which I'm actually quite glad I didn't know, because I wasn't looking for a business, I may not have gone down that route. It was very expensive, it had a lot of challenges, but you have to be resourceful as an entrepreneur. And I've self-funded my business. I didn't take any money from any investors or even my husband. I self-funded everything. And
to invest, but she wouldn't let me.
It's true. And yeah, that was literally step by step. And I didn't come from a business background. I came from being a dental surgeon, which is very different. But you kind of learn on the job. You can't do that with dentistry. I couldn't be doing a root canal saying, let me figure out the next bit of the root canal. With entrepreneurship, it's something that if you believe in what you're doing, you actually can kind of learn on the job. And that's what I did. It may have taken me a little bit longer to get there, and you have to make mistakes. And obviously, I'm lucky to have a mentor like Tej. However, he'll tell you that I don't like to listen to advice all the time. I think you have to make your own mistakes. And for me personally, I'd rather make a mistake by listening to my own gut feeling than listen to someone else and it be a mistake. So learn your own mistakes, learn from them, grow, and yeah, that was really the steps. And then getting into the stores at the end. I mean, I was actually planning to be direct to consumer because I was launching my brand that I'd worked on for quite a few years, and there was a worldwide pandemic. So when it came time to launching, I wasn't even thinking of retailers. I spent the time, really geared up a great website, really user-friendly website, and we launched. And then I was lucky that actually I managed to get onto Harrods' radar, and they came to me. I had someone from the store actually called me up and said, have you thought about putting in retail? And I said, no, but I'd love to have a conversation. Let's chat. And I presented it to them. They loved over Zoom, couldn't even go in person, over Zoom, and they loved the product. It was truly something different, and they could see how it really solved a problem, and that's how it happened. And within less than 2 months of launching the brand, we were in Harrods. I went on to be a bestseller that Christmas. We were quickly picked up in the US by Good Day New York, featured as the #1 Christmas gift. And then subsequently, 3 years in a row, we featured purely organically as a #1 Christmas gift in New York. So that's how we got stateside. And then other retailers came. And there's been a lot of challenges along the way, but you've got to always believe in what you're doing and never give up. You know, expect challenges. I think if you're prepared to experience challenges, then you can't be derailed by them. And what Tej mentioned earlier was very true. He did give me some really good advice early on about being an entrepreneur is about putting out fires every day. You're not sitting back, thinking of all your achievements. I rarely sit there and think, oh wow, it's been 2.5 years and we're doing this, we're doing that. I'm spending the day trying to fight challenges every day, and that was great advice because I realized when there are days when there's lots of fires to put out, I'm not doing anything wrong. This is normal. This is what any CEO is experiencing. And that makes you feel like, okay, keep going because this is what everyone has to do and you've got to just deal with it. And then you have good days, you have bad days, but never stop believing in yourself or what you're doing.
Just to add to that, when Harrods picked you up on the radar, it was because of your social media and because of getting the brand out there. And you don't know what it's going to do, where it's going to lead to, but about making opportunities. So it's in terms of targeting the right people, the right influencers. They talk about it, somebody else talks about it, and then eventually something happens and then you grab that opportunity. And even, when you started, you had 1 Instagram follower, right? That was it. And then it's building from there, but you have to start from ground zero. And there's that poster you've probably seen with Muhammad Ali running, which says, one day or day one, So it's about really just doing that. That's the first day. Yeah, you've got to start from zero, unfortunately, but then everything else is up from there.
I like that. One day or day one. So, Tara, just to come back to you on the point about the moving from dentistry. So your education was aimed towards that. You became a successful dental surgeon. So your business was there, your contacts were there, your network was there, and then suddenly you make the change. I'm sure there are plenty of students here this evening who have chosen a particular degree, to be in a particular industry, to go for a particular job. That must be the most scary thing, daunting thing, to actually say, do you know what? Everything I've done up to this point, I'm going to flip. I'm going to do something totally different. So have you got any advice for any students here who have had a particular path mapped out, may have been started by their parents or recommended, route who have then got to a point, I don't really want to do this anymore, I want to do X?
So it's interesting. I think when you look at it, when you decide what you want to do with the rest of your life, you're a child. You don't even know yourself. You're 15, 16 years old deciding what A-levels to do, and it's not unusual to change along the way. And if you've spent that time doing a degree, doing a business degree is quite an open degree, but doing something like dentistry, you don't do dentistry to become an entrepreneur. You do dentistry because you want to be a dentist. So it's a very specific degree that I went into doing, and I never thought I wanted to do anything else. And I did it for over a decade. I was working as a dentist, and I only decided to change when, like I said, I wasn't looking for a business. The business found me. And what I would say is, don't think about it too much. If you have an idea for something, you want to do it, don't think, oh, well, actually, that's not what I'm qualified to do. Life doesn't work like that. We're not here forever. We have a short time. We're going to live our lives. Do what feels right. And just because you've studied something for 3 years doesn't mean the rest of your life you've got to spend doing that. And I'm so glad. I could have thought, oh, no, I'm a dentist. I can't do this. But I'm so glad I just did it, because what I found as a result is this is where my passion lies. And you don't know your passion until you find it. I didn't know when I was doing dentistry that I didn't love it, because I had never felt the way I felt about being an entrepreneur. I absolutely love what I'm doing now, even though it's difficult, it's challenging, but it's true when people say, when you do what you love, it's not work. You know, I wasn't very well the last week, and you know, if that was any other job, I would have just stayed in bed. You know, Tej was saying to me, rest, like, you've got to stay in bed, you're not well. And I didn't. I sat at my desk the whole day. I was working until the evening, because you love what you do, and you don't quit. You keep going, and that's what you need to make a success of something. I'm early in the journey. I'm only 2.5 years in. But one thing I do have is that tenacity and that grit to do what needs to be done. And I feel like you do need to have that. So don't stop yourself from doing something because that's not what you did at university.
Brilliant, thank you. And on a similar vein, but Tej, how can students make the most of their time at university to set themselves up for future success?
I mean, look, you're in university, you've got to enjoy it as well, right? Have fun. You're in university once, so you do have your whole life ahead of you. But what I do say is hard work does pay off. So once you graduate, get stuck into something. It could be anything. And when you're young, it's a time to try anything you want and fail hundreds of times. So it's the best time to do it. So I would do that, but save your money is what I say when you're young, and work as hard as you can. You know, there'll be time to really enjoy it and spend it later. And when you've got savings, then that's how you make your money work later on, whether it's a business or whether it's investing in the right things. But of course, in university, if you know what you want to do, then follow. And I mean, as Tara said, business is an open degree. It gives you an opportunity to do anything, really. So if you have an idea, get working on it. Or surround yourself, as I said, with the right people. If you're interested in a particular area, go to some events, tech events, meet those people, talk about ideas that you have, narrow them down, and learn as much as you can as well at the same time, as I talked about earlier. And there's so many avenues to get that. But look, I say just enjoy it. Enjoy your time here in university. It's going to go quick, and fortunately, the pandemic's over now, so you can actually get out and do things and make the most of it.
You're saying party, basically.
Party.
I like it.
And finally, from me, how was your time at Westminster? If you can remember.
It wasn't that long ago. 1996. God, makes me feel like a dinosaur. So Well, I enjoyed it. I mean, it was I was based in the Regent Street campus, and shuttling between the different sites, library books. The research was very different back then. There wasn't computers or Google. You had the microfiche film stuff, and you'd go there, and but it was great. I got to meet a lot of people. The degree was really interesting because there were different aspects of modules from finance, and what I really enjoyed was the case studies, learning about businesses and how they did, and what decisions they made and what mistakes they made and why they did that. So I enjoyed that aspect. I did a sandwich year, so for me, I worked in a company for a year where I got a lot of experience. That was a third year placement year, and I think that's really what's good if you can combine your degree, even though if you're not doing a placement year, but try and do something along the side and get as much practical stuff going on, because then it makes a lot more sense. Because if you're sitting there looking and studying accountancy, you're like, is it really relevant? But when you're doing stuff at the same time, or when I did that placement year, everything became a lot more relevant as to how it would help. Otherwise, a lot of it's just theory. But hopefully the courses now are a lot more practical, and they have that element, and you guys are doing that with entrepreneurship and meeting companies, and So I think I had a good time, and definitely I think I wish I could do it again.
And that's a really important point about the placement. We often experience some difficulties encouraging, persuading students of the value of taking a year out from studies and going and working in an organisation. Anything further you can say about the importance of that?
Yeah, because I think that really gives you an understanding of working and in the industry and seeing what a business is about and processes and procedures, and then when you come back in your final year, it makes a lot more relevance. You're a lot more serious about things, and you understand things as well. So I think that really helps, and I think also for a company, if I was employing someone and I know they actually had a bit of work experience involved in that, I think that's more relevant. So I think it sets yourself up for a better success if you can do that placement year in your degree.
Brilliant, thank you. So we've had some questions from us at the front here about the journey and business success. Now's an opportunity to open this up. So, and I'm sure, yes, I've seen lots of hands fidgeting for the last 20 minutes, wanting an opportunity. I'm going to stand up at this point, just so I can see who's asking questions.
There's the microphone here, Malcolm.
One roving at the back, and do we have one down the front?
One at the back.
This young lady here was absolutely, definitely first. Thank you. If you could say your name, please, and if you're doing a degree at Westminster, that would be useful.
Perfect.
Or your background. Yeah.
Hi, Tej. Hi, Tara. My name's Kaz. I studied law, graduated a couple of years ago, so I'm an alumni. And my question is, I'm sure you've heard of ChatGPT, so I have two businesses. Well, no, I have one business, and I had one freelance business, and I have a business idea for a media company. Now, essentially, that ChatGPT made it redundant overnight. So I suppose my question to you is, how can I sort of adapt to the competition, to the AI competition, and also about me being hesitant to go for the media company, because there's more reasons why it would fail rather than why it would succeed. So that's, any advice on that?
I mean, look, ChatGPT is scary, right? A lot of you might have been using it and testing it out. One of my PAs wanted a character reference, so I went onto ChatGPT and said, can you write me 10 lines of a character reference of an excellent PA who was efficient and great, and it was incredible. I mean, what it wrote down. So I don't think people are going to be redundant. I think AI is going to be, now that it's got to a certain level, it's going to be quite disruptive, I think, in a lot of industries, financial services and in, you know, in the legal aspect. But also you think about creativity, right? If you want to write copy for an advert, for instance, and I want to say, you know, give me a sales pitch on an eye vitamin supplement in 10 lines that, you know, etc. It's going to do it for you, and it's going to be pretty good. So then you're thinking, do I need to hire any marketing people for my business if I can get the copy written? So I think it's going to be a blend, right? You first have to know how to use it. Like, you know, in Google, if you put in rubbish, you get rubbish in terms of searching. So I think there'll always be an element, but I do think it's quite a scary thought how the applications of ChatGPT are nascent right now. But, you know, look 5 years from here, what's going to happen? So definitely start thinking about it. But I think people, you know, the value that you can add, you can't, you know, today there's still a lot. So I think it's going to be a blend and use in different areas, you know, but definitely something to think about.
Thank you. Okay, so let's come to this young man here. We'll try and get round as many as we can.
Hello, Tej. Hello, Tara. My name's Anthony. I'm a first-year student. I'm studying business management with entrepreneurship. My question is that although I'm very interested in business, and I know there's so many different fields you can get into, I'm not sure like what kind of industries I'll get into. What do you think could inspire me or influence me to go into a certain field?
So I think you have to actually, it's down to you. We can't tell you what you should do with your life. You're doing the right degree if you haven't decided what you want to do, because it's a very open degree and you'll learn the skills for a lot of different areas. But really, I think you're only in your first year, so I wouldn't even spend too much time dwelling on it right now. I think it's something which may come naturally to you as you progress, because I think year by year, as you learn new skills, meet new people, you'll just probably know inside your heart what you want to do by the time you leave. And there's no rush. You're on your first year. Just enjoy, like Tej said, this is the time to really just enjoy yourself, learn as much as you can, take in the whole experience, rather than thinking, what am I going to do 3 years from now when I graduate?
Thank you.
And also, just adding to that, I mean, you know, it may take you many years before you figure out what you want to do, but if you really want to find out what business to get into, it's a good thing to research and see what's the gap in the market. Look at the trends of which industries are growing, you know, and where the gaps are, and see if there's something that you could come up with in that area that's of use, that's different to what's on the market, that's better. You know, always keep thinking. You never know. You could stumble upon something.
Thank you.
And do a placement. Yeah. Okay. Yes, sir.
Hi, Tej and Tara. Thank you for coming tonight. My name is Massimo, and I did electronics engineering. I'm an alumni. And my question is, I've written it down, sorry. So actually, for both of you, would you say it's more harder to push or launch a product into the market as the years go by, or based on your experience?
I'll answer it first. So there's no other better time in history to set up a business than today, right? I mean, you think about the friction that's been taken away. With one click, you can set up an account, your company, register your trademark, everything online, and within minutes, you could be selling to someone in Australia. When could you ever do that? 20 years ago. You'd have to find a distributor internationally, try and go to a trade fair, try and figure that out, do a deal with them, and then go into customers. So really, it's up to you. With a few dollars, you can test and advertise into a social media post and, you know, put it out there. So you wouldn't have to put an ad in a magazine, cost you £10,000 to do. So for me, I think there's no other better time than now to get it out. And Tara will be a testament to that, because she launched in the middle of the pandemic, you know.
That's so true what Tej said. But with that, and because of that, there's actually so much competition as well. So the cost of advertising digitally has gone up massively, and it keeps going up month by month. So you've really got to have a product or a service that stands out and it has its USP, because if you're just doing something which everyone's doing, it's going to be impossible. The cost of acquisition is going to be so high that there's no way you can make a sustainable business from it. So it's a great time, but it's also a challenging time, and you've got to have a standout product or service.
Thank you.
Thank you, brilliant. Okay, so we'll keep going around in a bit of a circle. Yes, sir. Yes, go for it.
Hello, both. I just want to say I thoroughly enjoyed your rendition of Wonderwall. As a fellow musician,
you heard it.
Yes, I was listening to it last night. In fact, taking down notes.
Funny enough, I bumped into Noel Gallagher about a month ago, and he recognized me, and he goes, "You're from Dragon's Den?" I said, "Yeah." I said, and he didn't realize I did a Wonderwall rendition, so he was very impressed.
Well, currently I'm studying Indian and Western classical music, not here at the moment, and I know that you're a musician yourself, and you have a big passion for music. So I wanted to know: do you actually do musical projects at all? And if you do, how do I participate?
That's your first question. Well, look, I do love music, and I used to love to compose music. So, back in the day when the Commodores and Amigas and stuff like this, and sequencing and sampling. So I made a couple of tracks, but I haven't really done anything with it. And now, of course, it's so busy with work and family. But I do really want to get back into it, because I have that creative thing that I'd like to use, for music, design, all that sort of stuff. But if I do get back into it, I'm going to give you a call.
Please do. I'll be happy to pass my number over to you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Keep putting the hands up. So, yes, you're rather insistent, so we'll come to you. There's a... Sorry? Can I go through that door? Yes, you can, if you wish, if you particularly wish to. Yes. Anyone else wish to go through that door? Yes, sir.
Hi. Thank you for the opportunity. I wanted to ask, what do you think of the Shopify business model, which has been growing throughout the years, and now it had its peak in the pandemic, but it's still going on strong?
I love Shopify. I think it's one of the best platforms out there. In fact, I moved our whole e-commerce onto Shopify Plus. And the great thing about it is that, you don't really have to develop anything yourself. You can focus on your product and the customer, and everything takes care of itself. It integrates. So from payments to and the apps that you need, whether it's a loyalty point system or whether it's an email system, you just bolt it on, and you get pings on your phone every time you make a sale. Tara will tell you about it. She's on Shopify as well.
I love it. It's so good. At the beginning, whenever we'd get a cha-ching on the Shopify app, the whole family would go, yay! It was like a celebration. And it was so great, because literally you can operate your whole business. You know what's happening, your cost per acquisition, everything is on there just from an app on your mobile phone, wherever you are. It's incredible. So I definitely think Shopify is the way to go. I think you've definitely seen the difference and how easier it is, because you had a very much more complicated system before.
Yeah, exactly. And any business I invest in, I always recommend Shopify for them to use. It's just easy to get on quickly. Within a couple of days you can be selling. So as a platform, 100%. If you're direct-to-consumer business, I would use Shopify.
Do you have the same views on drop shipping models, or is it just a single-focused model?
No, I mean, if you're drop shipping, it depends what your business is. I mean, if you're it's a good way to make money, I think, right? To figure out something what people want, and then just be a store and then drop ship. So, as I said, opportunities are there. You just got to look for them in terms of what's trending, what's selling on Amazon, whatever. Then you do the same and drop ship.
Thank you very much.
So let's go towards the back. Yes, sir. Right at the back, sir. Yep, you. Right at the very, very back. Yep, the mic's coming.
Thank you for sharing your advice. My name is Niyi, and I recently completed a PhD in computing here at the University of Westminster. I've got a question for you. So at the moment, I am building a business. It's a tech business. Is in concept stage. What would you say is the biggest mistake you've made in your business career, and more importantly, what did you learn from it?
Well, I made a lot of mistakes, but I guess one of them, we were talking about the US, and Professor, you were mentioning how difficult a market America is. You actually call it the graveyard of British companies. That's how difficult it is to get into. But it's so enticing because it's like 10, 20x of what the UK is in terms of market size. But again, it's so difficult, it's so different, the customer's different. So our traditional sales model for vitamins has been in store, like Boots, Tesco, Sainsbury's, etc. So I've been always wanting to get into America. And I was able to get in touch with Walgreens, the largest pharmacy chain there, 7,000 stores nationally, so they're huge. I was trying to work a deal to get our products there, our beauty supplements and a couple of brands into the door. I was going to get the deal, but then it took me 3 years to try and get this deal with them because I wanted to get the terms right. Because, you know, you could get into a store, but then you have all these terms in there where they say, if it doesn't sell, you've got to take it back, or you've got to provide this amount of free goods, and then if this is damaged, you've got to get 5% off. You could end up losing your shirt out there. So after 3 years, I got this deal, and they agreed to put me in 6,500 stores nationally in America. I was very excited, but then I was also thinking, things have changed now. Like America, each state is like a country, right? So how do you market your product globally, like nationally around the whole of US? It's very expensive. You know, if you have it in a particular store, once it's in that store, if it's not selling, they're going to kick you out. So how do you make sure that customers buy? You've got to advertise. And it's okay in a city like New York where it's so densely populated, so you're doing an advert and you're getting many people, but other states in the Midwest, in Texas, where it's spread out. So, but I thought it's an opportunity, you know, I can't lose the 6,500 stores, so let me go. And this was our traditional way of building brands. So we got into the stores. Okay, so then, you know, the meter was ticking. How do I get it off the shelf? So I started advertising, doing a bit of, you know, marketing campaigns in New York and a bit of buses, underground, you know, all that sort of stuff. I hired Ambassador Heidi Klum to the face of Perfectal. You know, did all this traditional stuff. It was working in some areas, and some other areas it wasn't. It wasn't hitting the rate of sale in the store in Walgreens. And then like a year and a half down the line, I had to take a call. Do I put more money in and advertise and try and build it? I mean, you need a lot of money there. Like I'm talking like $30 million to invest. I was like, I don't want to bank the whole business on this. So I took a difficult call. I decided to close it and took the product back. But fortunately, the deal that I did in terms of trading terms didn't make me lose out. I mean, I would have lost a lot of money. But luckily, when I took the stock back, I had it, and then I decided to go straight on Amazon. And I created a store there, worked with a company out there that used the AMS advertising platform, and then built the brand there. So now I'm doing, you know, a good amount of sales. I've sold all that stock, so I didn't lose out. But what it taught me is that, you know, every market's different, and you can't go with one formula to launch in there. And if you make a mistake, recognize you make a mistake, right? I could have destroyed the whole business by saying, no, I'm right. You know, this model worked. Pump in some more money. It's going to work. It's going to work. But you, as an entrepreneur, you need to know when to cut your loss and to pivot. And so that's what I did. And now it's doing very well on Amazon. I'm going to build up a direct-to-consumer model and then eventually go back in store. And I think that's what you need to do. Once you have a strong brand, stores will come. And they see you online, like with you.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic, thank you. Let's come to this side. So, Irene, I recognise you.
Thank you very much. Could you tell us if any lecturers inspired you when you were at the university to become an entrepreneur? And if so, how did they inspire you and why did they inspire you?
Actually, biographies, autobiographies really inspired me, and reading people. I mean, back then there was no YouTube or stuff, so I would read books that written by entrepreneurs on how their life journeys were. I mean, back then, Richard Branson, Losing My Virginity, and loads of other books that would inspire me and get excited about the entrepreneurial journey and how they did it, from literally nothing. And of course, I like to learn, and so I'll go to courses, probably heard of Anthony Robbins. So self-improvement is always good. So I would surround myself with different bits of knowledge as much as I can have. The more you learn, the more you get. And as Tara said, being in a different industry and switching, it doesn't matter. There's always learnings from there that you can bring into what you do. It's always an opportunity.
Wonderful. We'll keep coming around. Yes, sir. Yep.
Hi. My question was that do you believe passion is overrated? I mean, did you get into the vitamins business because you were passionate about vitamins, or what's your views on passion being overrated? Thank you.
Well, Tara's the best example for that. I mean,
so you have to be passionate. If you're going to do a business and you're not passionate about it, just scrap it right now. Honestly, there's no point, because the amount of challenges that will come, the amount of work you have to put in, you've got to eat, sleep, and breathe it every single day of your life. And you're not going to do that if you're not passionate about it. You're just not. So you have to be passionate. I mean, for Tej, it was different because he entered into his family business. So he was passionate about it because it was family business. For me, I did it because I needed this product. So I use my product every single day. I use it today on the way here. It saves me time every single day. It makes my life easier. Tej is so happy with it as well. He's like, it's something I'm so passionate about because I created it. It's kind of like your baby when you create something. And I feel like if I was doing something because I just was looking for a business and it wasn't something I really was bothered about, I would have quit a long time ago, because like I was saying when Tej told me to put out, being an entrepreneur is like putting out fires. When you have to do that and you're putting out fires for something that you're not truly in love with, why would you do it? You just let the fire go out, and that's it. Once it's done. So only really do what you're prepared to eat, sleep, and breathe, and that has to be something that you truly, truly love.
As I say, when I'm investing in businesses and entrepreneurs, it's about how, not even passion, you have to be obsessed. You have to be obsessed with what you do. Because think of the competition out there. There's hundreds of thousands of people doing the same thing. What makes you or your product better than anyone else out there? And why should that customer buy yours instead of someone else's? Because you're putting that extra bit in there. And the fact that you're passionate, working 24/7, is going to make it work, right? I mean, look at the company called Lego. When that was founded, there was another competitor. I don't even remember the name now. Play something it was called. And they invented, actually, the Lego set. And they came out with the product first. But you don't know. You haven't heard of them. You hear Lego because they took that product. They were and this toy company that came up with the original Lego, they were doing so many different things. They were doing different toys, etc. Lego came and said, I'm just going to do that. Be obsessed with it. Make it into a whole town and just focus only on Lego. And that's what they did day and night. And that's why you know them, because they're obsessed, they're passionate about it. And that's what's going to make you get through and beat the other companies.
Hiya. So I just want to say first, thank you very much. Not just for today, but actually just for being you. I've been watching Dragon's Den since I was a boy, and it's been quite inspirational for my journey so far. So this is a quick two-pronged question. One part of it's more for Tej, one part of it's more for Tara. The first one for Tara is, when you were starting your business, how did you have methods to kind of ensure that the suppliers, co-founders, and any kind of partners were the right ones? Because obviously you're by yourself and you don't know everything, and it's hard to decide which manufacturer is the best one. And this one's for Tej, a little bit cheeky. So obviously you're not on Dragon's Den anymore, but I'm someone that's quite passionate about entrepreneurship. I want to have my own startup with digital products, not physical, but do you have any accelerators, any incubators, anything like that for investing in new startups? Thank you.
Thanks. That's a great question. So for me, you never really know if the person you're going to enter into a business partnership with is the right person. You have to trust your gut. And the way to do that for me was, my factory was in the Far East. I had to go there. I couldn't take anyone's word for it. I got on a plane, I went out there, I met everyone in person, one by one, to see if it was a right fit and to see if I could trust them. And you have to do that. You've got to be prepared to go where and when you need it. And if I didn't do that and I just listened to someone recommending someone to me, I would never have known. And you can't listen to your gut unless you go physically there yourself. And you're never really going to always know. You have to take a chance sometimes as well. Like I was saying earlier, you've got to, if you're unsure, make a decision either way and see how you feel. If I was unsure and undecided and I decided, okay, I'm going to go with them, my gut would tell me straight away if it was a wrong decision. And I would simply just say, actually, it's not the right fit. Let's go in a different direction. And that's how you have to just make a decision.
I don't have any accelerator programs myself, but I invest in some programs where we're helping businesses, startups, etc., like that. So maybe later on we can connect and then see if I can help you.
Thank you. Keep coming towards the front. Any further questions from this quarter? No? Okay, I should move back over here. Yes, sir? Yep.
Sorry. So, well, I'll sit down because I can't open it. Anyway, I bet that managing a business is hard, and obviously many times your mind and your brain tells you to stop. And how do you go through? Is it only passion, or is there any other trick that you can give us?
I think you have to have a vision. You have to have a clear goal of what you're trying to achieve and what success looks like to you. And you've got to be prepared for challenges and prepared for setbacks. And that's what keeps you going. Because if you prepare yourself for problems and knowing that things will go wrong, it doesn't set you off track when it happens. With everything, whenever you have a plan, always put in contingencies. So if you're going to launch a product, for example, and we're told it's going to take a month to finally receive the final product, we're not going to make a launch plan for 1 month. We're going to think, okay, 1 month is probably going to be most likely 2 months. It's not going to cost X amount. It's probably going to cost 25 to 50% more than that. Always be prepared for extra money, time, and resources for everything. And just believe in what you're doing. And once you have that clear goal, know what it's going to achieve to actually get there. Have your KPIs. What do you actually need to get to your final goal? Map it out. Once it's clear and in front of you, it keeps you on the right path, going in the right direction, which is really key. I don't know if Tej wants to add anything.
No, I think you said vision. I just immediately thought mission. There's a vision and a mission. Yeah, you got to make your vision your mission, and just be dedicated. And you got to realize, do you want to stay here all your life? And there's a pain of where you are. You got to use that pain. And also you've got to use the attraction for the gain and where you see yourself. And both those together is what drives you forward. You need both, not just the pulling, you need the pushing as well.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, Tej. Hi, Tara. Thank you very much for your inspiring words tonight. My name is Abdullah, and I just graduated from the MBA program from the
Congratulations!
Yay!
My question sort of revolves around businesses having an impact beyond sort of their bottom line. There's so many things that you can choose from. How do you choose something that actually has an impact beyond your business, and how would you instill genuineness in it?
Well, look, look at my business, vitamins. So my father set it up, and he was a scientist. He came up with the first multivitamin formulations back then. His passion was really helping people and improving their lives, right? How do you improve someone's lives without the side effects, without drugs, but using natural therapies? He researched it, and till this day, he's 92, but he really cares about improving people's lives and helping them. So if you have that good cause and that genuine passion for doing something, automatically you can generate money about it, and that's where also passion comes in at the same time. So it's not always about money, but of course if you want to do it well and reach more people, you have to be successful, you have to think about money, it's an important aspect. But if you just go into it thinking about money, I mean, it's not bad, but it's not going to be the best thing that's going to set you up for success.
Thank you. This young lady here.
Hi, Tara. Hi, Tej. Thank you for being here. My name is Anna. So I've been looking for launching a skincare product, but obviously I have limited resources, and it has to be so much regulated. So how do I prove an idea with limited resources? And obviously investors look for a proven concept before they invest in you. So like how do I prove my idea with limited resources?
You need to speak to one person here, and that's Elizabeth. Where's Elizabeth? Where is she? You stand up?
There she is.
There she is. True Skin. Now there's a skincare product. She started second year of university. You've got to speak to her. With limited resources, but doing well, already selling. So look, I mean, setting up a business with limited resources, most businesses start from nothing. It's about how do you free up cash. And today, you can do things for free. Like, Tara will give you an example in her businesses. She didn't have money to market. It was about giving the product to influencers and getting them to talk about it for free. And that's your tool. But in terms of the regulatory aspect, grants, funds, if your idea is good enough and people will support you and maybe use that government grants, whatever, to get the initial amount that you need to test it, get it proven properly, because with regulatory there are expenses that you don't normally get in other industries. But skincare, beauty is one of the biggest, fastest growing industries.
And I think sometimes actually a true entrepreneur is sometimes built with less resources, because being a great entrepreneur is actually about being really resourceful. And when you start with massive amount of cash influx from investors, you sometimes build it in the wrong way, and you have to build it from the ground up. I like to think of it as like the way an aeroplane takes off. So you've got to build up that momentum slowly, and it speeds up, and at the right time it takes off. If an aeroplane tries to straight away take off, it's going to crash. So with a lot of startups, they've got so much money, they're trying to just take off quickly, but actually the model that they've built is actually not a sustainable business model that's going to be profitable. So when you have limited resources, like I did when I started, you have to go back. Like I said, I had to have grit. I had to be really resourceful. I'd never accept no for an answer. If you get no as an answer, you're talking to the wrong person. You've got to keep going. And that's what I've done. I've always never accepted no for an answer. And just, like Tej said, there's so many things, like you've got a product. You may not have loads of cash, but I was very selective of who I would gift that product to get their followers and to get awareness. So we've built, in just over 2 years, from 0 followers, we've gone to over 50,000 followers now. And these are all genuine people who are interested in our brand. So all potential customers, really. That's how we're looking at them as. And I think, don't let it put you off. A lot of people will talk themselves out of doing something, which could be a great idea, because they'll sit around and think about all the negatives. Oh, I don't have loads of money. Oh, I don't have all the contacts in the world. I don't have this. Well, not everyone has everything. You've got to just actually make do with what you have and make the best of it. And like I said, being resourceful is the key.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And do make the connection with Elizabeth at the back. She's a success story and one of our own students. So now we've got time for, formally in this forum, 1 or 2 more questions. There will be an opportunity to nab Tara and Tej afterwards, but let's just have 2 more. So I'm going to go to the back again. Can you see? Yes. Thank you. Let's make the microphone man run around.
Hi, my name is Claudia. I'm a second-year law student, and I've been running my own cake business for 3 years now. Both of you reiterated the importance of creating a product which is different, and you fill in the gap in the market. My question is, if you cannot do that, cannot make a product which is unique, say for my example, cakes, how do you still succeed in your business?
Well, when it comes to cakes, I guess there are a couple, I don't know much about cakes, but you know, you've got to have something unique and different about you, right? So whether it's the ingredients that you put in, you know, are they natural, gluten-free, but, you know, whether it's the designs on the cakes, you know, what type of icing. So there's always different, what occasion is it for? Are you specialists in just parties, or is it specialists in just weddings? So you can be niche within a niche. Or is it just cupcakes only, right? So I think you have to find what's different, and you'll know that going into it, because you're going in to make it better. I'm going to make it better because the cakes I get are just, they're not moist enough. Like there's Peggy Portion, and if you heard of them, they do really good cupcakes. But they are, when you have them, they're not dry, they're moist, they have that taste. So whatever industry you are, there's about 5 or 10 different things where you can be much better than you are in your competitor. It's about finding those things out.
Do you have an actual bakery, or is it online?
It's all in my kitchen.
Oh, amazing. So what I would say is, if you can send your cupcakes out to influential people, get the word of mouth going. That's the best thing. So if you have a great product, even if there's millions of different competitors, if yours stands out because it tastes really good, that's what I'd want. If I was having a cake, I want it to taste good. And if I tasted something and I was like, oh, wow, this is great, I'm going to tell someone else, you know, you've got to try these cakes. So start sending them out. Send them out to influencers, people who have some authority in that area. And, you know, that's how you can do it. I mean, I remember someone messaged me. I mean, I'm not an influencer, but someone messaged me saying, you know, come down and try our chocolate strawberries in Selfridges. There's a Choco Melt brand there, downstairs in Selfridges. And I thought, that's really nice. I was like, I love chocolate strawberries. I'll definitely, next time I'm there, I'll drop in. So I went there, I loved it, took a picture of it, put it on social media. I think, you know, got on Tej's radar as well. You've just got to send it out, get it out there, get people talking about it, and just make sure your product is really good. And like what Tej said, obviously, about the design of it, all of that comes into it as well.
Okay, yes, sir.
Good evening, both. So, like you said, I was talking to my professor before the event started. I was talking to her about the electronics that we use and the technology that we have in our pockets right now. No matter it be you, it be me, we are both using the same technology. So ChatGPT, all these AI technologies, they can answer a lot of my creative questions. But my question to the both of you is, what is time management for you guys? How many days a week is your weekday? And how many days is the weekend? And how many hours a week is your usual week?
Good question. Yeah. Thinking about how many hours I work. But you know, time management is very important. Very, very important. Because that's how you get things done, and that's how you focus on the productive things. And it's important that you, and I've learned from Tara as well, is that you focus on doing what you do best. And try and, once you build a team, get other people to do, and get the best people to do what they can to help you and support you. But, you know, usually when I wake up in the morning, I try not to look at my phone, right? First thing when I wake up. And I'll try and think about what the things I have to do myself, rather than the device telling me to control my day. Right? Because we're so used to that all the time. So start using your brain, thinking about what it is. Then, of course, you can look at your phone, do your emails, etc. But always find certain time to take breaks, to have food and nutrition. That's very important. And you know, in terms of weeks, you know, for me it's always work. I'm always working, whether I'm on holiday or not. But I think it's good to go on breaks. But instead of taking a full break, it'll be like a 50% break for me. I'll be working for 50% of the time, but at least I'll be with the family. So I think when you're enjoying what you're doing, you're going to be engrossed in it as well. So, you know, I'll come home from work, usually 8, 9 o'clock, and have dinner, and then I'll work from home still, watch a bit of TV sometimes, and then work late till about 11, 12 o'clock. But there's so much to do, and then for me particularly, because I've got a lot of other investments, I've got Vitabiotics, I've got stuff I do in real estate, so there's a lot of different avenues, and you've got to learn to compartmentalize yourself in terms of, and having the focus and being present is important. And that's something I struggle, and everyone does, is if you're with your family, be with your family. If you're doing something, having a conversation with someone, have a conversation with someone. Try not to be distracted about, because there's so many things that distract you. But if you can have that focus and be present for that time, you'll be a happier person enjoying where you are in that environment. It's just going to miss things out.
I think for me, what I like to do is I like to make a plan for my next day the night before. Because once the day starts, it's inevitable. You look at your phone, and then you end up being controlled by what the last message that you got, the last email that you got. And that isn't necessarily what you need to do, especially if you're running a business. There's key tasks that you need to do. And if you spend the whole day just doing what other people are asking of you, you're not actually building the business and not growing it and taking it in the right direction. So every night, once everything's done, I like to just make a list before I go to bed of the key things I need to focus on the next day. And then when the day starts, there's loads of calls coming in, there's emails coming in, there's lots to get done, but I still know I've got that list of things which are priority for me to get done that day. And then you have to prioritize, and you have to think, okay, well, someone's asking me to do this, but actually this is more important right now. I'm going to do this first. Otherwise, there's not everyone says, oh, I haven't got enough time. There's not enough time in the day. But if you look at the busiest people on the planet, look at Elon Musk, look at all these people, they've all got the exact same amount of hours as we have, and they get a lot done. So I always think, okay, let's not say we haven't got enough time in the day. Let's just make every part of the day productive. And what Tej said about being present is so true, because if you try to, a lot of times we'll be talking to the kids and realize actually we're just looking at an email, or, at the same time, and actually you're not present. You've got to be present. Give them that time, and then say, okay, I need to attend to this. And especially now we both have businesses and we've got children, we've got to give them that time as well. So we can't neglect the kids because we've got businesses to run. So I make an effort to try and switch off. And the kids actually do say, no iPads, no emails. You've got to, they say that to us, and now we've realised we have to give them that time. And it's important, and it's our fun that we enjoy that as well. But yeah, make a list night before is my tip for that.
Just something to add to that. How many hours a week would you say your typical work schedule would be? Because the more businesses that you run, that's the amount of time that you have to give to yourself and your business increases. So how many hours would you typically spend a week working on your businesses?
I mean, I wake up from 8 in the morning till 12 at night, and then. But you do what you need to do. If you have to take half a day off, do something different, you do that. But otherwise, generally, that I'm always working. If it's a project, whenever I find time, I'll do it, and find time to follow up as well. It's good to follow up on things, because when you've done something, you forget. It just needs a quick follow up that could get another opportunity that you haven't followed up on something. So, but yeah, so typically I do that, and then if you go away, if you're on a break, a day away, you do that, you enjoy that, and you come back. So it's always, you're doing things. That's the important thing, right? And find time to have fun as well.
I think you're focusing on the wrong thing. In terms of how many hours, it's not about the hours, it's about how productive are the hours. You could sit all day staring at a screen and get nothing done. You've got to focus on being productive. That's the key.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're going to have to draw it to a close there in terms of this formal proceedings, but if I could just say a few words before we finish. We always appreciate your feedback for all the events we run, and you'll find a questionnaire on your chair. Do please fill it in. If you have anything positive or improvements to suggest, please let us know. Don't rush off, because one thing's really important in events of this type. There are many, many people here tonight that may be useful to you. friend down here in the front row needs to speak to Elizabeth to get her business off the ground. Try and promise yourself tonight before you go, you'll meet someone new. You'll introduce yourself to someone new to maybe strike up another relationship. The next What It Takes event is on Thursday, the 23rd of February. It's called What It Takes to Cope with Loneliness, and you can book online from now. But most importantly, please, on your behalf, can I thank Tara and Tej for an enormous session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tej and Tara have millions of choices of things to do every single day and night, not least the kids. And to choose to spend the evening with us, we are extremely privileged. Thank you very much for sparing your time.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
So you can, if there is any food left, you can tuck into the food. And there may be a few minutes if you have specific questions to come to the front.